morning, guys. We're out here at Verasian Hills. This is just about a half a mile north of Pontotoc between Llano and Mason. We're out here today harvesting. We started about 4:30 this morning. We like to start early just to make sure that we're harvesting the grapes at really cool temperatures. It's really important. It picks the best. It's the best for the machine. Today we're picking with our new Arrow harvester. It's German built and it's a over the row. It has an onboard destemmer, which is really important for our production. It kind of saves us some time in the winery. So what's different about machine harvesting than hand harvesting, the machine will actually drive over the row and it has beater bars inside that shake the fruit off of the vine. So you're getting the berries, and sometimes you'll get a whole cluster in there, but that onboard destemmer will actually take all that fruit off of the rachis, and what you end up with in the bin is just nice berries and a little bit of juice. Like I said, it makes it really easy when we get back to the winery and start working with the fruit. Today we're gonna get across 7 acres, so that's a pretty big harvest for a morning like this. That's why we started so early. The temperatures are holding pretty good for us and fruit's picking really good. We are picking 5 different varieties today. So we're gonna pick some Mourvedre, some Tannat, Montepulciano, Aglianico, and Petit Verdot. All grapes that we use in our programs and have had a lot of success with out of this vineyard. This is the 4th vintage that we are picking from this vineyard. So we've been able to really make some strides on the winemaking side and really understand how the fruit kind of reacts to different things in the cellar. And at Lost Straw, we will load all of this fruit into our big oak upright tanks. They hold about 2.5 tons each. So for like a 5-ton lot, we'll have to split it into 2 tanks, which works out pretty good for us. We're able to even like do some split yeast cultures if we want to, but we like to ferment everything in wood. It really helps with that early oxygenation process and getting that fruit going really early on. So from the time they hit the winery, they're in those tanks within about 30 minutes. All right, so we've been out at Verasian Hills picking this morning. It's about 5 hours from when we started. We're at Lost Straw Cellars now, so we got the fruit in the bins. As you can see, we got them in the cold room here. Here shortly, we're gonna take these bins, we're gonna dump them into our receiving hopper that is right here. This receiving hopper will then auger the fruit into a must pump, pump it inside the building, and then we will load the oak fermenters. They're kind of lining the wall inside this building. We'll take a hose and it'll carry it, and we'll fill up those different oak fermenters, and then we'll start the fermentation process today. And then generally that fermentation process will take between 5 and 8 days. We have some cooling jackets that we can use to kind of control the length of time of that fermentation. So after that 5 to 8 days, whenever we ferment that fruit all the way dry, the next step will be to drain the tank. So we'll drain all of the free run juice off the bottom. That cap will still be sitting at the very top. And then what we'll have left is all the skins and the seeds and everything that was left that wasn't juice that went through the pump. We'll dig the tank out, transfer it to this press here, and then we'll press all of those skins and get all of the remaining juice. At this point, it'll be wine because it's all fermented. Then we'll rack it into a tank and we'll let it settle out. And then after about a day of settling, we'll barrel that wine down. And then that wine will begin its first process of aging. So wine will age for us generally between 14 to 24 months, depending on the variety, depending on the wine. We'll rack that wine a couple times, but once we go into barrel the first time, we usually keep it in that barrel for at least 4 to 5 months before we start that first rack. So once the wine goes to barrel, we'll send it out to the warehouse and it'll sit there and really start that good integration with the oak and the neutral wood, and then that's kind of the first step of the aging process for the wine. Since this fruit's pretty clean, we'll probably try to stretch it out, really extract some of that good color from the Tannat and the Mourvedre, and then we'll use it to make a great vintage of 2021 wine.
This morning we are at Farmhouse Vineyards, the original plantings. Today's is an epic moment for our vineyard and our family because Sarah Garrett, winemaker, husband Bryce, Serrano Wines out of Paso. It's our first California client.
Yeah, so this is our first harvest in Texas.
What grape do you get from us?
We are getting
exciting.
Roussan. So
Yeah.
we've actually never made Roussan before, and we're really excited about it. We decided we wanted different grapes from Texas than what we've made in Paso. So I do have a love affair with the Rhone white varietals, so Roussan was a very easy choice to make.
Yeah. So we had a mutual friend connect us, Amy
Yeah.
Nemec.
She introduced us to Katy Jane, and one of the first things that she really said was, you know, we do have some extra fruit this harvest, but you know, we don't just sell to anyone. We want to make sure that your product and quality matches what we're trying to do. And I was like, you know, I really like that. We kind of have to be vetted.
Yeah. Send 3
Um,
bottles.
we gotta prove ourselves. So we
Send 3
sent her
bottles.
some wine, and I was like, I think she'll like it. I hope she does. I
Yes.
mean, I think we make a pretty good product, and it started a wonderful relationship. I got into wine, you know, kind of accidentally. I do have family in wine, but I grew up mostly in Florida, and so wine was not really part of my life until much later on. I was in college in Tennessee at the University of the South, where I met my husband, and we needed summer jobs. And so I was like, oh, I have some family with some vineyard. Let's just go, you know, hang out there for the summer. And he worked in the vineyard that summer and just absolutely fell in love with it. So we went back to college for our senior year, and I was still trying to go into like investment banking. And he was like, come on, this is awesome. Like, why can't we go make wine? And I'm like, I don't know, like wine. I don't know
So
anything about it.
cliche.
Like California. And he was like, just try it. Like, if it's terrible, we can always leave, you know, just give it a shot. We moved out to Paso and started Serrano in 2015. Since then, it's been amazing. It really was meant to be. So I'm very thankful for Bryce for kind of pushing me to take the opportunity to make wine. He really is the most amazing partner. And so the two of us, we do pretty much everything on our brand. We don't have any employees. We've worked in the vineyards. We've done all the processing, barrel work, bottling, label design, website design, social media, literally everything except actually picking. We cannot pick it all ourselves. We do thankfully have help. People look at us like, you don't quite know what you're doing.
Right.
Happens a lot. And, you know, it's been really fun to kind of prove them wrong.
It's real fun to say, watch me go, right? Watch us go.
Exactly. This is a really big deal for us because this is our first time buying grapes from Texas. And I didn't know if we were going to be able to be here for harvest.
For us, I think every place in the world grows quality fruit. Every place in the world makes good wine and bad wine, but people just have such a perception because of the phenomenal marketing that's come out of California, you know? And yes, of course, they're ahead of us, but every other region is ahead of them. And so, but it seems to be a real stamp and a bar that people put for acceptance. And for us to get that call that, hey, we're from Paso, right? And we would like it was a big moment for us that enough people said to y'all, like, hey, if you're going to be able to buy grapes, go here. And that's not just a testament to the Farmhouse 4. It's to the 24 families that work with us on the farm, and then our crew this morning. Like, you were commenting to have an all-female harvest crew, and
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal, but they're full-time, and they're here. They live in these grapes. They go across them umpteenth times a year, and they're so invested.
This is a great example of the kind of clusters that we are looking for. It's actually not the most perfect looking cluster, but you know, any good winemaker, vineyard owner will tell you, you don't want perfect looking grapes. You want a little bit of stress. That's what gives it that really good concentrated flavor. Here, you know, the berries aren't too big. We want to keep that flavor really concentrated in small berries. The skins are starting to color. We do like a little bit rounder, riper fruit for us personally, or for our white wines. And so we want a little bit of that sun exposure. And yeah, this is just a great example of kind of fruit that you know, we're looking for through here. We asked them to handpick our crop. We've always handpicked everything we've ever done. And so especially coming into a new region, I didn't really want to mess with the process too much just until I get familiar, you know, with the grapes around here and how it all works. When you handpick, you keep the berries more intact. And for traveling distances, like we will be driving the fruit from here in the High Plains down to Fredericksburg, there's less likely to, you know, anything weird happening. during the transport when the berries remain intact. Now that we picked the grapes, leading up to this, we were trying to decide how to produce it. What were we going to do? We don't have our own production space here yet. We just bought property in High, Texas, between Johnson City and Fredericksburg, and that will eventually be the space for our winery and tasting room. But until then, we needed to produce somewhere. And at first, we were going to drive it back to California. But then we realized that's just, who knows? There's a lot of issues that could arise from that. And we've become really good friends with Michael at Hilmy down in Fredericksburg. And so we asked him if we could crush at his place. And actually, we'll probably do the whole aging process there. So there's a big movement in Texas that, keep Texas wine. And I respect that. We're not trying to come in here and do something funky. We want to make our California wines, and then we want to make our Texas wines. We do have a plan to make one blend, but it is, expressed that way. It's going to be 50-50 Texas Paso Robles to really kind of commemorate our journey as, making wine in both regions.
Quality is quality. If you're truly making wine, that's what you care about, right?
Like, wine in itself is so romanticized. I want to break down that wall. I want to show people that we're just farmers, and we're working with farmers, and making wine. It's sticky and it's dirty and it's sweaty, and it's not actually that beautiful and pristine, but it's for this art form of really kind of putting your soul into these wines and really kind of show people what these vineyards are capable of.